Hi, I'm Anthony from The Designer Motive, and you're watching the video version of On Site, initially a podcast where I sit down with architects on construction sites, but due to COVID-19, I am uploading the interviews from previous home tours, so technically it's still recorded on site. In this episode, we hear from Sara and Rene from Mani Architecture, a small architecture practice with big ambitions, and one of them being One Mani House. Be sure to do the YouTube things such as liking, sharing and subscribing. If you want to watch the curated home tour video, check the description for a link. This is also available in audio format wherever you listen to podcasts. Enjoy.
Oh, it's rolling. Shit. All right.
The first 5 minutes of
It's the best part.
chatting.
Yeah. So we're Mani Architecture. I'm Sara and Rene, architect and interior designer.
And I'm Renee Wing, and I'm also an architect and an interior designer.
This project that we're sitting in at the moment, we've named it One Mani House, and that name has come from sort of a long sort of thinking process, thought, or even the reason that we started Mani Architecture. So One Mani House being one, the first of this kind of house. So hopefully from here there'll be a 2 Mani house and a 3 Mani house. And the idea of this house was to showcase to people, showcase to sort of anyone that would listen, like tell the story of the house, which was to show people what you can do with spaces, how your lives and how you live in a space, how that can impact so many things, quality of life, smiles, fun.
Just educate people on what's possible and getting rid of the stigma of what people think architecture is and what people think the way that you should live is, and rather just showing them.
Yeah. So that was where the project came from, what we wanted to do. It's sort of the basis of who Mani Architecture are as well. So we pitched the idea to some people who were really interested in also being a part of that. And they're the ones that have funded it and sort of let us, do the things, show people, don't be scared of colour, don't be scared of little things like different tapware colours in different bathrooms, how you can really design spaces and have everything that you want, but it doesn't have to be huge and it doesn't have to be over the top. It doesn't have to be expensive. Good architecture and good design doesn't have to be expensive. That's sort of another, it's how you use different materials, how they come together. When we pitched this idea to people, we didn't have a site yet. So Mani Architecture actually helped find a site, or it wasn't so much about finding a site, it was what site was available. We went to about 100 auctions. We wanted to get a site that would fit in the sort of inner suburbs, kind of, we were sort of looking northern suburbs. But there was probably 6 months of searching for a site before.
And right at the peak of the market as well, so it was pretty hectic.
Yeah.
But, I think as well, because the northern side, a lot of people, a lot of younger families are sort of starting to live in this area. So we just wanted to sort of cater to that kind of market and show people that even though the sites in Fitzroy North are quite small, you can do so much with it if you really properly think about the design and properly explore the site rather than just plonking a standard house down. So that was, so the idea was pitched before a site was even available, so that was
So you're trying to sell them.
So it was the idea, it was the idea of architecturally designed, educational, So there was a big, there was a lot that happened before we could even really think about it. We had the ideas of what, sunken dining, hidden away service areas. Also, one big driver in it was adapting a design to the future family, or what even a future family means. The typical family is sort of 2.5 kids and parents. But this was about, you know, a family home that could be two families, could be two young couples, could be an older couple with their, you know, their family.
Could rent out parts of it to generate income.
Yeah.
Kids are living at home for a lot longer, so sort of accommodating to kids staying
Yeah.
until they're proper, like, full
Yep.
grown adults.
Yep, exactly.
Never leaving home.
Yeah, and also just the hardship of even owning a home.
Yeah.
So having, you know, designing a space that also you could section off and rent out, Airbnb out, or, you know, just so then there's also some funding for your mortgage, for example. A design that adapted to so many different situations and people's, different living arrangements. And as an architect, and also both of us having a background in, or being interior designers as well, we didn't specifically have design ideas for this, or for when the whole idea started. It was the first step for designing the right space for this site. We did a site investigation, so looking at orientation, what was around us, the vibe sort of in the area, in the street.
Passive design elements like ventilation, natural lighting.
Yeah, so there was a lot that went into the pre-design stuff before we actually started designing the space. And then once we'd sort of done that investigation, we then started, you know, working out what was the best orientation, how could we gain as much natural light, utilising this northern, the long side of the house. That's where we've sort of placed most of the windows. So throughout, you know, from when the sun comes up to the sun goes down, the house is always in natural light. So there's, you know, you don't often have to have the lights on. It also acts really, you know, for the heating and cooling. So the heating aspect, like we're sitting here in winter and we're, you know, a really good temperature. Really not only sort of looking at what was in the home or what would fit in the home, but also how we would fit them in the home. So when we started, there was no brief of how many bedrooms or anything like that. It was what we could fit on here. We did a lot of sketches, a lot of plans. And then as we sort of went through that plan process, things just evolved. So having, you know, once we sort of blocked out what we could fit, we sort of thought, okay, well, we can turn this into a 4-bedroom / 3-bedroom and study / 2 homes / you know, and utilising where the windows were placed. And, you know, we've managed to sort of get a 2 by 2 metre plunge pool, which also acts as a little light well for the home. Sort of, and changing people's perspectives and elements of surprise. So out on the deck, we have a sunken dining, which, you know, you have a deck area and you have a table, and this was just showing how you could use that space at its best, but also take your eye level down to a different view. So you're seeing a whole different view. Half covered, half not covered, so you've got, you know, both of those elements. Yeah, so it evolved. There was no set, it has to be this. It just, we utilised the site as best we could with what we could put in it, and it just came to what it was.
Playing on the idea that creating a house that evolved with whatever type of family decided to live here, we located a master suite at the very front, which had an ensuite and then a walking robe, or it could be an office, or it could be a kitchenette, depending on what the owners decided to use it on and use it as. And then because the master suite was sort of located at the front, it could be cordoned off so that you could keep either the back of the house separate, or you could keep the front of the house separate.
So that sort of idea of zoning off, you know, people want to zone off. So master bedroom to the front that could be zoned off, and also utilising the front yard. Lots of spaces don't utilise the front yard, so we've got in the front sort of built-in bench and tables. which gives you that connection to the street, Fitzroy North being sort of about the community as well. So you've got that real good connection with people walking by and saying hello. And then sort of as you enter through the main part of the house, you're sort of welcomed by the lounge, dining, study nook, bar sort of area, all designed in a really small space, but we've managed to get in there a 20-seat dining table, 20-plus dining table, large lounge suite. And then as you keep sort of entering through, being a long, skinny site, walking through and being then in the kitchen area, which is essentially always the heart of the home, and having that connection then to the outdoor area. And then in behind the kitchen, we've positioned the laundry, pantry, storage, and a small powder room. Again, sort of that service area, needing that area. Also, storage is a big thing. And then zoning, then the next zone being the upstairs area, which is the bedrooms, another master suite up there with an ensuite, and bathroom. So yeah, and then backyard area with the dining.
Yeah. And utilising a lot of built-in furniture to sort of maximise the space, and also sort of create a really open, flowing living space, but also little pockets where you can kind of escape into. Because things can get pretty hectic if you're having 4 bedrooms. You could potentially have 3 kids, 2 adults here. You need a little bit of escape sometimes.
Yeah. And that was a really cool thing about the site and the spaces, is that it's open living, but it's also zoned. You can sort of escape to a different section and not be a part of a section, or you can be a part of all of it.
Yeah. And then still have little portholes to see what's going on down in another side of the house.
Lots of little elements of surprise. So this project was about collaborating with the makers and the people that would be involved. So while we did a lot of the design prior to sort of bringing on the different makers and trades and builders, we worked with them through the whole process. So there was a lot of collaborating with the furniture maker early on before the construction started, but then probably majority of it happened during construction. Elements like, working with the steel fabricators on the steel staircase and the steel windows was utilising and sort of sticking, really trying to stick to budgets and work with, the staircase, for example, the design that we had, it was all perforated, and but then as we sort of worked closer with them, we wanted it to sort of fall within a budget, so they would sort of bring up, well, if we use this size sheet, for example, it will bring the cost down. So we worked really closely with making it fit.
And working with the material rather than forcing materials to do what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
The steel stair, obviously, we ended up designing it to the sheet sizes of the actual steel. We worked with the stone supplier, which was Signorino, and we sort of ended up adjusting the kitchen to fit the actual slab sizes rather than having to have extra slabs and joins in slabs and all that kind of thing. We sort of adjusted our design to meet what was available to us.
Yeah. Minimise wastage.
Exactly, minimise wastage. What else
and then also probably a big thing as well was having a home that you didn't have to constantly maintain, or it was easy to maintain. So a lot of the timber work, the finish on those is Osmo oil, which is, if you get a scratch or anything like that in the timber, you can easily polish it up with a bit more oil. So that was a big driver in some of the materials. A lot of natural materials.
Yeah. Being realistic about what people do in their homes and not creating a space that means that you can't actually live in it properly and that you can't scratch, you can't be rough with it, because people are, and you don't want to be living in your home and be
tiptoeing
careful,
around.
Yeah,
exactly.
And watching your kids all the time.
Yeah. So it was a home that was a home.
Exactly. Yeah.
didn't have to be precious, but, you know, still sort of
Still
appreciating everything. And probably one of the biggest things with the house was how we collaborated, and it was about collaborating, like not having specific roles, but actually all working together to produce something really incredible. And, you know, right behind me at the moment is some artwork by Kate Gorman, who came to the home, visited the home, did the artwork as part of the home. We gave different elements, like different materials, and she produced some art to suit the area.
And the couch that we're sitting on is made by a local furniture maker called Daniel Poole. And we sort of just gave him a rough brief of the types of things that we wanted, and then said, do whatever you want, because it's quite rare that anybody ever gets the opportunity to do something that they want. It was just giving it local artists and local makers the opportunity to really explore their creativity and just like all work together to create something unusual.
So spaces were sort of worked out and thought through, and materials were looked at, and then it was as a team coming up with the best that we could come up with together, and that was the idea of the place.
We had a local ceramicist come in, and she handmade every single basin in every bathroom based on a sort of colour palette that we gave her.
So it was a really beautiful, process. It was really nice work, and we learnt so much as well. Like, as you know, as architects and designers, sometimes you sort of forget how important it is to know how things come together, how things sit side by side, the screws and all the tools that are used to do something. That was another really cool thing, that we actually worked on site. So we actually had drills, and we did some of the decking, and so we were really involved in the whole process, and it's made us as designers have a whole different appreciation for trades and makers and everyone. And I think it flipped the same way with them as well, with the spaces coming together and their pieces getting put in, and, you know, as pieces got put in, they were even better than we thought they would be, and everyone was sort of excited, and so it was really cool. It was a really cool.
And even having like the opportunity to be on site and then change our minds because something would go in, and we'd be like, oh, maybe we need to change that a little bit, and we would just change it to suit the space even better than it was before. So it was just
or coming up with ideas on site as well, which was, you know, you'd sort of have that main bones of what was happening, but then, you know, meeting all together and going, oh, you know, maybe we should do this here instead, or this will work better this way. Because being in the space, you know, sometimes you don't always have the answers sort of in 2D or on your computer. So some of the things that evolved on site were, you know, just made it as well.
Definitely.
And just, you know, the views that then come about, like where I'm sitting right now is one of Renee's favourite spots. It's got this little window underneath the cabinetry, which you see the garden, and then, you know, highlight window, and then Kate's art, Renee's art as well. Renee did some of the art in here, which is just beautiful and just complements Kate's work, and just really beautiful little spots and nooks, and that's sort of how we feel when we're in the space. Like, I think we didn't even know, we knew that we were creating something really special, and we knew that bringing in natural light would, you know, bring that sort of quality of life that you really want to achieve. But I think being in here and seeing everything and sitting in different spots, and you just smile, like it just makes you really happy.
A lot of special little nooks.
And just, you know, even the black bathroom, like the mood that you feel when you're in there, as opposed to then going into the pink bathroom. So you're in the black bathroom, you're like, oh, you know, I'm really sophisticated and this is really cool. And then you go into the pink bathroom, and you sort of,
a bit more playful.
You sort of smirk a little bit, but you also it's a really calming feel. I remember when the pink bathroom was being tiled, and the tiler, he goes, oh, that's crazy to have pink tiles. But then by the end of it, after he'd sort of tiled all the bathrooms, he said, Sara, my favourite bathroom is the pink bathroom. Like, the feeling that you get in there is, it's really calming and really beautiful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just sort of feelings that you might not think you would get if you, or things that you would say no to as well. Like, I'm sure he would never have said yes to a pink tiled bathroom, but after he tiled the bathroom pink,
Now he will.
Now he would, yeah. Yeah.
We sort of just used people that we sort of knew already.
Yeah.
And that we'd worked with a little bit previously.
And people, I think, that had the same vision. Like, so Daniel Poole, who made all the furniture, he's a furniture maker, and he had done some work for us previously for where he'd done furniture items, not built in. His work is really beautiful, and we knew that we could work with him to create what we've created, but by giving him sort of the areas where these items would be and talking through the materials, he then got to play with his ideas of what could work in that space.
Yeah. Yes, it was finding people
who we knew we could work with, and like-minded. Exactly. And then some of the trades that we worked with were all trade. Like, we've got some really good relationships with different builders, and so finding tilers and all those kinds of different trades was, it was going with people that were either recommended or that we knew would work with us.
And sort of working with people who were sort of a lot small businesses, or like even just single people, just to support local business and not always just go straight to the biggest supplier because they're the most well known. It's sort of like sussing out people and supporting each other. And
exactly. Yep. And like Manny Architecture being just a small sort of personal business, we wanted to do that as well and let other people benefit from what this house could sort of showcase and provide. And then also the art, like Rene does beautiful artwork, and, allowing or making her work shine and letting people see it in a space like this. And same with Kate Gorman, like she's one of my mum's friends, and she just jumped at the idea. So it wasn't just picking people that we knew that would want to be a part. It was discussions that we had, and then, it would evolve into something else. And it's like, I make ceramic bowls, but hey, I think I could try and make a basin. So it was, it sort of evolved like that. So there were recommended people we knew, discussions that we had.
We even found these group of women who work near our office in Fitzroy, and they do a lot of styling, and they supply sort of imported like decor and stuff. And then we met this woman who has these masks from Panama, which are like, she supports some village. Like, there was just so many cool people that we met. Exactly. And that one thing Rene just said, like with the styling of the home, we specifically chose to style the home in just a bit of a quirky, different way. So when, so it was Ma on Johnson Street in Fitzroy, Marigold, the women from Marigold came in with all their, little elements. Like Rene grabbed that, the bird's head there, which is one of the Panama, comes from Panama. So Michelle from Panama Timber, she imports these and goes over to Panama, and the women in the jungle, they sort of make these items. And they're supporting the village now.
Yeah, and they've got such beautiful stories. So within the house, there's so many other little stories. Like we could literally point to anything, and there's something, there's something there.
Yeah.
So that was something we wanted to create, and then when it all happened, it was really special.
Pretty surreal.
Yeah. Like when we talk about it, like we probably haven't really spoken about it this much before, but yeah, when you really look at everything, you go, yeah, that that's got a story and that's got a story, and it's all just come together. We constructed this home so through the design, and it was about designing a home that we could show people what you could do within a budget. So we've built this 4-bedroom, 2-master, pool, service area, walk-in pantry, you know, everything in this home, and just over 800,000 complete. So it's just under 200 square metres, so 120 square metres downstairs, just under 60 square metres upstairs. And the quality that you can achieve for that, like a standard 4-bedroom home, 2-master and all of that, pool, you know, you'd be looking well over the $1 million for that kind of price.
Size.
Yeah. So it was, you know, it was sort of achieving that, which was really cool, and showing people this is what you can achieve if you really, you know, work hard on it. And
showing people that, like, if you are smart about where you put your money, it really shows. Rather than just having a gigantic house with not really anything of substance inside of it, versus having a smaller house with something that's really special.
Like you know, sitting in the dining area, for example, like that's probably a third the size of a normal dining area, but seats about 20 people, windows that open out, so you sort of can gain some of that space with the outdoor. So putting the money into the quality that's around you, a little bit more than just having extra space to walk around. So you sort of give and take as well, like, you know, the dining area being majority booth seating, but you do have an area where you can sit. So if you don't want to be tucked away, sort of that you have to sort of ask the person next to you to move out, you sit in the dining chair to the side that does have the access. So yeah, you sort of give and take a little bit to achieve that. So you can't just get everything for that $800,000 like it is. It's about really designing it so it suits. It suits what it's used for. To sort of fit within that budget, it was being smart about how you did them. In the black bathroom, where we've used everything black. The toilet in there is from Bunnings, so black toilet, and we've then mixed that with Roger Cellar in-wall cistern. So you can achieve that look that you want, you know, for $279 for the Bunnings toilet mixed with the Roger Cellar tap buttons. You sort of you don't know, like it doesn't always have to be. And we've had, you know, people walking there, oh my God, you know, wow, that's amazing, that would have cost, you know, heaps, and it doesn't have to, like it.
Looking at the individual product rather than just going for the most expensive brand, because that's what is supposed to be good. So looking at
and you still, you know, a pan is a pan.
Exactly.
And also we talk, like, so all the tapware in the house is Phoenix tapware, and they're like really good prices. And talking to plumbers, they're like, you know, it's a great Australian product. Having Australian tapware is really great. You can get, if you need extra parts, you can. So yeah, it was.
And really good service at Phoenix as well, which made a huge difference for us, because obviously there's only an extent we know about taps. So like,
exactly. Utilising sizes of things, so you know there wasn't lots of wastage, which is another way to sort of keep that cost down.
Tiles in the bathroom, they're everyone comments on them because they're so beautiful, but we pretty much just use this. We use the same color from the same. We use different colors from the same range, and it's not even a crazy expensive range. It's just like a really good quality standard tile that just comes in a really good range of colors. So
and that was classic ceramics. And they also did the pool tiles, which are these, you know, beautiful small Italian tiles that just worked well with the curve of our seating, and so it was not just specifying things that you found, you know, that you knew looked amazing. It was finding things that would fit within the budget and would fit
And working
and
closely
work
with
well.
the suppliers to really just get their knowledge, because obviously they know their product
Yeah.
the best. So
Yeah.
really working closely with suppliers to
Yeah.
figure out what was best.
Yeah. And even the floorboards actually, it's got this, so they're oak floorboards and it's got this tinge of blue through them, and it's not a product that people would really use. Like if we were to show a client a sort of a brown blue floor timber floorboard, they were like, oh, So we were able to get that for an even cheaper price because from Melbourne Oak Floors, because they didn't sell much of it.
Yeah.
So it was, it was knowing what we could do and work with. Out on the deck area out the back, we have this arched brickwork, and those bricks came from one of Melbourne's oldest buildings that got demolished, old red bricks. And, the brick, like a standard brick to purchase is around $1, and that's sort of a low range brick. We actually got those bricks for free from wastage on another site. A builder that we work closely with, he gave them to us because they were leftover bricks from his project. So, it's sourcing and
using things that would normally just get thrown out, because the amount of waste on a building site is pretty bad. So
So utilising all of that.
Yeah.
And then the story that comes, with that product or, with that material or product or whatever it is. And, being able to sort of point out to people that those bricks came from one of Melbourne's oldest buildings sort of, it gives it, and, we've given it a whole new life.
Exactly.
So that's really cool.
Yeah. One of the main drivers behind this house was to show people that hiring an architect is really a necessity, not a luxury service, because the thought and the detail and the things that we put into designing a home for people, it really, even though there's a cost up front, of course, just the payback that you get at the end and the money that you can actually save by having us involved from the start is just huge.
And there's just this stigma attached to architecture that it is this big luxury service, but
and that we blow budgets, which is not the case at all.
This sort of showcases and shares with people that using that, utilising that service. We see it as a necessity, and we're trying to show people that it is. So even helping other architects and other designers, and just general public, like education. Like a lot of people don't really know too much about the service of architecture, and we wanted this house to really showcase that and to sort of drive it. And now that we've completed One Manny House, so we
just want to tell everyone about it.
Educate people.
Have no secrets, because architecture is quite a secretive industry. So we just want to share everything and just help people live a better life.
And we hope, One Manny House, there might be a Two Manny House. Like that would be something that we'd sort of think about, and depending, the feedback that we get, we've had people through and just amazing feedback. Manny architecture, like the word Manny in Italian means hands, mane. So we sort of Manny made. That's where we come from. Handmade. So One Manny House is handmade, Manny made. So hopefully we can keep using our hands,
make more things,
design, build. And then this is just the first. This is the one, and we'll hopefully go on from here.